This is Andi Purewal for Boxing News. I'm joined by Jeff Powell here in the aftermath of the Fury-Ngannou press conference. Jeff, straight into it. Did you take anything away from what we saw up on the stage there?
Well, yes. I mean, Tyson was quite serious and respectful, wasn't he? There was nothing outrageous apart from a few sort of sexual jibes at Ngannou. He's saying he's taking it very seriously, and I certainly hope he is. We wouldn't want another Mayweather-McGregor in a crossover fight. This doesn't do boxing any good. I don't know what it does for the UFC, and I'm not particularly bothered, to be honest. But it would be good to think that Ngannou can come and make some kind of impression, that he might even land what is supposed to be the biggest punch in combat sports today. But then again, if there's one guy who will get up from that, it's Tyson Fury, as he proved against Wilder. That would be not much fun for Tyson, but would be very interesting and amusing to see. I think in the end he wins the fight. But if Ngannou can make a fist of it, and as big a fist as he usually is supposed to do, then that might make it interesting. We don't want another exhibition fight. We want a proper fight. It's not ideal that Tyson can't seem to find a big opponent at this time, so he comes to this fight, which he says he's kind of always fancied, and it's the biggest fight for him at the moment. Possibly it is because Usyk didn't cover himself in real glory against Dubois. Will that fight ever happen? So he might as well get on with making money. And before the hypocrites start squealing about why should he want to keep making money, well, I guess most people would do the same, as Jordan Henderson has proved by going to Saudi Arabia. So I think we should leave that conversation alone and let him make money for his family. And I'm sure that if the right big boxing fight comes up in the new year, he'll take it.
Jeff, just sticking with this fight, if Tyson is successful, does it do much for his career in your eyes?
It depends how it goes. I hope it's a genuine fight. And there's enough UFC believers that this notion that the UFC is now a massive sport is a bit misplaced. It's still a niche sport, but there are a lot of kind of online followers of UFC and MMA sports who will be hoping that their man does it. He can clean up any notion that they have of being boxing's equals. So I think he can do boxing a favour and himself a favour if he does a number on Francis. That wouldn't be a disservice to himself or the sport.
Jeff, just speaking on kind of what could be next in terms of Fury-Usyk, Alex Krassyuk reckons that maybe end of February we could see that undisputed bout. Have you heard anything? Do you think we might see the pair of them share the ring towards the beginning of next year?
I think the prospects of that fight have diminished with the Usyk-Dubois fight. I think Tyson is now going to be pretty demanding about the split. I think, Usyk has said before he takes something like 70-30. That would probably be put to the test. It would be interesting if Tyson agreed that, because he's saying that he's not sure that Usyk really fancies fighting him. But he might ask for even more. He might ask for something like 75-25. In fact, having talked to him this evening, I suspect he will. That will put pressure on Usyk to prove that he'll fight for the undisputed title, which he always claimed is his dream, and he'd fight for the people of Ukraine again, irrespective of the money. I hope that fight happens. I hope they both come to terms on it, but I'm less convinced tonight than I was a week ago.
Sticking with the heavyweights, Jeff, upstairs earlier on we saw an altercation between Fabio, Wardley, David Adeleye and their teams. What did you make of that, and what do you think is going to be the process now? Do we even see that fight on this card now?
Well, depending on the extent of the cut, it's going to be interesting. So Adelaye's friends might have done him a huge disservice if there's any suggestion that the cut can't be healed in time, and I suspect it might have penetrated because he hit him on the sunglasses, so it wasn't the punch, there was metal went into his head. The cut didn't look wide, but it must have been quite deep. So if that is a problem, that may have got rid of that fight to be on the undercard in Saudi Arabia. It would be interesting to see if there's any consequences of the actual industry. It will be interesting to see what the sanctioning authority thinks about it in Saudi Arabia. I'm pretty certain that if this was the British title in Britain, the British Boxing Board of Control would be taking a close look at it. They might even do so now if it's their title on the line, although they don't have to put the fight on. I think there would be serious concerns about whether these people can behave themselves in the proper manner if the fight happens, or if it happens in the near future. I think that, it wouldn't be imminent, that fight now, after what happened. It's ridiculous behaviour by a bunch of lunatics.
Jeff, just final one, obviously this past weekend up in Manchester, saw Chris Eubank Jr reverse the first result against Liam Smith with a stoppage victory. What did you make of his performance, his win, and the potential Conor Ben fight now taking place next?
Well, speaking as perhaps the only person who predicted that Eubank could win, I was unsurprised. He was a bit drained at weight and complacent about the first fight. Made a bit of a fool himself and got caught possibly by an elbow. I always thought Eubank was the superior fighter in most aspects of the sport. I have great admiration for the Smith family. They're the best boxing family we've had, and they're terrific, and Liam was at the forefront of that for a while. But I think that time's gone. What do I think happens next? I don't think anybody really wants the third fight. I think young Mr. Williams looks a bit past it. Mr. Smith looks a bit past it. So I would like Chris to go on and challenge for a world title, but it looks like he'd rather make money against Ben or Brooke. So we'll see. But the result didn't surprise me.
Jeff, listen, I appreciate your time now. It's getting on a little bit. I'm sure you've got other things to do with your evening, so thank you for speaking to me, and I'll see you again soon.
Pleasure as always. See you in Riyadh.